So this is the American Coop from Carolina Coops that we purchased in 2021, I believe. So 4 years ago. And we got it for a number of reasons that I want to explain in this video. But it's been a couple of years now. And so I figured let's do another review and share with you if we still like the Coop, what would we change, and whether or not we would purchase it again if we started over with chickens. And spoiler alert, the Coop is just as good as when we bought it. It's rock solid. It's premium built. It's really the best Coop we could afford at the time, but we would not buy it again, not because of the Coop itself, but because the way our approach to homesteading and farming has changed. And when we decided we wanted to have chickens, we said, well, we knew we wanted to pasture raise them, but we figured that the best housing for chickens would be a stationary coop, solidly built, that withstands the elements, that's predator safe, obviously, and that looks nice, because my wife kind of had this idea of like one of those, glossy magazines with a nice white coop, maybe some flowers around, maybe a light fixture on top that looks very pretty and clean, but still provides good housing for the chickens. And so that was why we decided on the American Coop by Carolina Coops, because it appeared to be the best coop we could afford at the time. I didn't really have the skills to build one myself, and so that's what we ended up with. And before we get into the whys and why we would do things differently, let me just give you a brief overview of why at the time we decided this would be the best coop. Well, first of all, rock solid built. It has what I call it hardware cloth here that's very thick that raccoons cannot just rip apart and get into. It's big enough. It has an enclosed run, so I think the total length is 6 by 12, I believe it is. So it has an included run. The chickens would have plenty of space. The hen house was big enough, and this, by the way, was designed for approximately 12 to 16 chickens, depending on whether or not you want to free range them. But in our case, we decided we wanted to free range them, so we really only needed enough room in the hen house roosting space, that is, and then some room over here in case we had to keep them inside for whatever reason. And the enclosed run actually came in handy at a couple of times when we introduced new chickens. Like the first flock we had, we moved them out relatively early, and so we kept them inside of the run for I think 2 or 3 weeks before they were allowed outside. So that was really one of the major selling points. We also decided we wanted to get this, I think they call it a Dutch door or so, where you can open the top and feed the chickens or whatever without the dog getting in. Obviously the entire door opens as well. Over here, all of the latches and hardware is really nice. It has like this little latch up here so you can open the door and not accidentally lock yourself inside. We decided we're gonna go with an automatic chicken door. Not this particular model, there was another one on there, a chicken guard to open up in the morning automatically and close at night. We had the automatic barrel feeder, the water feeder, so there was really very little ongoing maintenance that we had to do with this particular coop. And then of course the deep litter. So let's go back and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So what we have here is we have a hen house that is about 1 foot or so deep. Thank you. And what that enables us to do is to just keep adding carbonaceous material in the form of wood chips or pine shavings or hemp, whatever. And with the idea that instead of cleaning that thing out every week or so, we just keep adding on and build up a deep litter so the material on the bottom would already deteriorate over time and start decomposing. And then we only have to empty the hen house maybe once every 6 months or so. So that has been a real time saver for us as far as chores and cleaning the chicken coop is concerned. And it keeps the bird healthy at the same time. It's roomy up here. We even added an outlet in here so we could, have like a heating plate or something for younger birds. We never actually used it, and in retrospect, I think it's actually more of a fire hazard than anything else, but plenty of roosting space here for 12 hens. The nesting box I'm going to show you next, very nice as well. A lot of thoughtful designs, really. Even here, the windows open this way, so if there is rain, it's not going to get inside. If you have windows that open the regular way and you keep them open, there's always a chance of rain getting in. With this design, and you can obviously close it then as well all the way if you want to, if it's super cold. Otherwise, you just prop it up here with those dowels that I keep dropping. You just add this here and the window stays open. Very nice, very thoughtful design. Rock solid, as I said, so nothing to complain about in that regard. And then here the nesting boxes, that's also a nice feature. Again, thoughtful really, that it opens this way instead of most nesting boxes open that way. And one could argue that, chickens, they're used to aerial predators, so they are always more likely to get scared and afraid when something from above unexpected happens, like when you open the hatch. Is it a huge problem? I don't know, but I think this is the better approach and also easier to reach in. You don't, especially if you're smaller stage, if the kids, for example, they don't have to get on their tippy toes, and you just can reach in and grab an egg. Well, in this case, we let you sit on them, but very thoughtful, all very, very nice. And so from that perspective, it's an excellent coop. It has a metal roofing. It reflects most of the heat, and it's just a nice piece of equipment that you might think, well, this is the perfect coop for our poultry operation. And that's exactly what we thought. Now here is the, and by the way, it's not inexpensive. So this thing retails with all the, we did some of the upgrades. You can expect to pay roughly $7,000 or so plus shipping. So it's not an inexpensive coop by any means, but there is a big, big downside if you wanna take a regenerative approach, maybe a permaculture approach to raising poultry, because this is obviously stationary. You're not going to move it around. And so the number one factor of raising healthy animals and of keeping disease at bay, of keeping short time at bay, is manure management. And what that means is that you either go with a deep litter approach, like in this case, that works reasonably well, but it's not a deep litter in the sense that the chickens are going to produce compost in the nesting box, because a compost needs volume. You need at least a foot or more of material to start composting. And here we only have maximum 1 foot, so it never really starts decomposing properly to turn into compost. But nevertheless, it works well. But the way better approach that we've learned is with manure management is to rotate your birds. And so that's a problem with a stationary coop, because especially when you have a pastured operation like we have, it would be so much better and easier if we could just move the chickens with their coop, like move them every week, move them every day, depending on your rotational strategy. With that coop, it's impossible, because it's obviously weighs a ton and you cannot easily move it. And so the second component to this is that because the coop is here and all of our pasture is over there, rotating our chickens across different paddocks on the pasture means we always have to tunnel them back to the coop, right? Because we have them fenced in, so they cannot just go willy-nilly wherever they want to. So that means the fencing has to start here at the coop, tunnel out, and then open up to a paddock. And if we want to move this paddock, it's always more or less the same route back here, which means a lot of fencing line that we need to run, but it also limits our flexibility significantly. And so we've actually realized that the way we try to raise chickens, meaning on pasture, rotational grazing, permaculture inspired, etc., a stationary coop is not going to cut it. And so we are in the process of moving to a new property where we take our whole homesteading and raising animals for food much more seriously and to the next level, really, with ruminants, some other monogastric animals like pigs. And in that picture, a stationary coop is not going to work at all for us. So that means we're going to rely 100% on mobile infrastructure. And that's really one of the things that I wish I had realized early on. Never build anything stationary unless you're absolutely certain there is no need to move. And again, if you want to take the permaculture approach, if you want to do rotational grazing, etc., stationary infrastructure is not going to cut it. And that's the number one reason why, despite how nice this coop is and how well it has worked for us, we would not purchase it again or build anything stationary again in favor of 100% mobile infrastructure, like the Soskovich tractor that we have, like maybe even an aluminum enclosure that you can easily move, like the Chickshaw from Justin Rhodes that we've built, to keep everything mobile and be able to move that infrastructure every week or so with the birds instead of being somewhere stationary. So that's our, I guess, what has it been now, 4-year kind of review of this American coop. It's incredibly nice coop. And if your idea of raising chickens is, you have maybe 12 chickens or 6 chickens for a couple of eggs every day, and you're really not into homesteading as a lifestyle, but more like you like the idea of having chickens and you don't want to mess with, rotational grazing or whatever, or maybe you don't even have the pasture and you have to have them enclosed somewhere, this is an excellent choice. But if you want to take homesteading seriously, if you want to make raising the food that you consume a lifestyle rather than just a hobby you can talk to your friends about, stationary infrastructure for us is not feasible anymore. But again, depending on who you are, what your goals are, if you want to get the best stationary coop money can buy, then I would argue Carolina Coops is right up there. It's the nicest coop I've ever built, I've ever seen, I've ever used. We actually built another one, if we want to pivot over here, that looks like a Carolina Coop hen house. I think they call it the penthouse. It is not. I built this from scratch, just copying the design of the hen house and enlarging it a little bit so we could fit another flock. So I did build this, but I would, again, just based on the way we raise animals now, I would neither purchase nor build a stationary coop. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? What is your approach to raising poultry and chickens? Do you think a stationary coop would be more appropriate for you, or maybe mobile infrastructure? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.